Hello and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Carl Smith. I'm the owner and business coach at Concept Fitness Consultancy. The intention of these podcasts is to support trainers and coaches, and probably right now more than ever, there shouldn't be a shortage of help available. My intention is that these podcasts will last around 20 minutes in duration. They might go slightly over, but that was the idea of and hence the name 20 questions in 20 minutes. Each week, I'm going to interview a different coach that's making it work right now. If you've got any questions, please just drop them in the comments box below. But right now, I'd like to introduce you to Darren Gold. Darren, are you there?
I am indeed.
Good afternoon, Darren. Darren, I think we worked together recently for, I want to say around about 18 months. You did you and I both did a lot of traveling in that role. But alongside that, that role, you've always ran a self-employed, call it a coaching business if you like, or you tell me maybe what terminology you sort of use to describe your business. Now, a lot of these podcasts are really been with personal trainers, so to speak. I know, Darren, you are a qualified personal trainer, but I think you probably see yourself more, well, you certainly see yourself more of a group exercise instructor. And, maybe is there a difference? Maybe what is the difference might be an interesting topic to share today as well. But what I'd like Darren to focus on today is throughout that, throughout 2020, Darren continued to run a virtual offering. He developed his own virtual offering, and throughout that time found a way to continue to keep his clients happy. So what I'd like, Darren, if you don't mind today, is we'll come to some of the detail around that and how you sort of made it work. But firstly, mate, can I ask you to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about how you started your business and why?
So yeah, my name is Darren. I am running a company now that, and its current guise is called DG Fitness on Demand. So started really from beginning of sort of the first lockdown, general questions from various members. So I've been a self-employed instructor for 12 years now. And I, alongside sort of working in various roles, was always still sort of teaching classes on and off. And when lockdown happened, got lots of members asking if we would be willing to move on to Zoom. So at that point, I decided to sort of put a group of instructors together. So there was 7 of us, and we designed a timetable that we put together, and effectively I ran and managed that, which is what I was effectively doing on a much larger scale in my day job. When the first lockdown ended, obviously gyms all went back, and sort of what I noticed was a lot of people were, particularly instructors, were just going back to being in gyms. I took the decision that yes, I would go back into gyms, but I would spend some of my time working online still, just because truthfully a lot of people that I knew didn't feel ready to go back to gyms yet, and didn't want to. So I continued teaching a little bit online, and then when the gym shut again, decided that this was my opportunity to really go for it. Obviously we were no longer working for our in our sort of day roles, so I had lots of opportunities. So I put together a on-demand platform with all the recordings of classes that I'd done since March. And then I'm running a timetable currently of about 20 classes a week, just on Zoom every day.
Brilliant. Well, I'd like to dig into some of that detail if you don't mind in a second or two. But so you've been what do you call yourself? Is it a trainer? Do you prefer coach? Do you prefer instructor? What's the best sort of terminology to sum up what you do?
I think probably trainer, and I use that from the perspective of obviously I deliver a class experience, but I also do the odd bit of PT online and that kind of stuff now, just depending on the person. But I think as a trainer, in my view, you create more of an experience, and within an instructor, you're there to instruct. If you're a coach, you're there to coach. It's very clear what the word is, I think. But for me, a trainer sort of embodies all of that.
Obviously, you mentioned you do deliver one-to-one and you do groups. Which one do you prefer, and why?
Definitely, probably the groups. I think from working with me that I can talk relatively well on a one-to-one setup when there's something to discuss. What I'm not good at is making small talk with people. I am very much like, well, this is what I said I needed you to do. So why, like, what's next we need to talk about? So I think that for me, I found that with one-to-one training, I have to think of a lot of things to say. Whereas when I'm delivering a class, I kind of know what I'm doing. So from my point of view, I prefer the opportunity just to stand up and deliver something that I really enjoy. But not have to worry, I suppose, about all the gumph that goes in the middle of it. If that makes sense.
Fair enough. Fair enough. If there was one thing that you wish you'd known before you got started, what would that be? I'm just thinking about how we could potentially. There might be a lot of new instructors or new trainers now, wanting to get into the business. And is there something that they can learn from your hindsight, so to speak?
I think I just wish I knew how fast everything is evolving. And I think the industry very much, particularly maybe 10 years ago, was very much around, oh, well, things just come and go. So, Step's really popular and then it's not, and now it is again, and then it isn't, and whatever. I think in the last 10 years, it's gone through a major sort of resurgence, just as a whole industry. It's becoming more tech focused, it's becoming more results focused. People want to know all the information. So I think my hindsight would be, it took me a while to really think about, okay, well, I have to continuously learn and upskill myself. And not just because I've got this qualification now and I can tell somebody how to do a squat safely or whatever, that's going to be all there is to it. And I think that's something that I've only really acknowledged even as a trainer myself in the last couple of years. So I think that would be my major thing for anybody getting in, is to know that just because you've done your level 3, that your journey's not over. There's a lot more to learn and a lot more to think about.
Yeah, couldn't be more right. Are there any particular courses that you recommend, or would recommend to a new trainer?
I think, I guess it depends down which road you want to go. So certainly, my expertise now is probably all around grip exercise. So I think that as any instructor, it's really important to be able to find the right balance for you. So certainly, I am, in the past, I've delivered a lot of Les Mills programs, and I think that they have a great opportunity to teach and teach you about teaching, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What I don't think they prepare you for very well is what happens when you turn up to the studio and the music's not working, or you don't have a microphone, so you have to scream and now no one can hear you teaching points and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really important to balance that with things that are not Les Mills. So as an example, I've recently completed training in a new program called Shift, which is interval training. And Will, who created that, has gone on recently and developed 3 different products, that are 4 now, that exist. And what he's really focused on is, let's give you that experience that Les Mills programs might give you, in terms of being able to teach you how to teach, as it were. But actually, you've got an opportunity to deliver the class however you want. Here's the structure, here's the workout, here's the moves, now go.
You were doing yoga, weren't you, the last time I spoke to you?
Yeah, so still finishing my yoga training. I think it's really key that you diversify. Certainly, dare I say, I mean, I'm by no means old, but I'm 12 years into teaching now, and I could teach quite happily 7 classes a day, jumping around and being on a bike for 7 hours 12 years ago, but 12 years in, my legs are knackered and I can't do that now. Whether as much as I'd love to be able to, I cannot. So I've tried to get more into teaching Pilates and training to teach yoga and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's what's really important, that that as somebody, as a person exercising, I love things like hip training and spin and high impact stuff. But as an instructor, that's not sustainable. And I think that's probably the same in the guise of a PT, that as you change and you develop and you grow older, your clientele will either come with you, or the people that you attract will come with you. And I think that's certainly what I'm noticing at the moment, that, you know, actually I'm teaching, I'm being asked to teach a lot more Pilates classes and aqua and all that kind of stuff. So it's, I mean, it's just, I think that's the absolute key for me. But I think the courses you want to do are a blend of everything, really. You want to be able to get yourself, if you're going into a group exercise world, the understanding of delivering choreography. But if you're not in the group exercise world, you know, you want to be able to do something that, what I love about Shift as an example is there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't take the formats and the workouts that they've designed into a PT session, because effectively it's a countdown timer on the app. So from a new PT's perspective, you know, there's 40 ready-made workouts that you can use straight away for your clients.
Okay, cool. Any particular bit, you mentioned tech earlier, is there any particular bit of tech now that you'd recommend?
It's a really interesting. So I'm about to start working for a company that I would argue are probably on the forefront of the technical side of things. So they've gone into sort of VR and virtual reality and augmented reality and all that kind of stuff. Where the industry is right now is not there yet, but it's certainly, in my view, where it's going. So as the sort of commercial industry within fitness always seems to be that little bit behind the way the rest of the tech world is going. So for me at the moment, where I see it is that everybody's sort of really into heart rate monitors. So things like MyZone belts and that sort of stuff, I think is a piece of tech that actually is amazing in tracking your own results in fitness, but also being able to track how your client's doing and are they actually achieving the recommended output that you're trying to get from them. Because there's no use in telling them they're HIIT training today, and then, you know, their heart rate never lifts out of their blue zone, as it would be called in a MyZone belt, because actually they can't achieve what you've set for them. So I think it's a really good opportunity, particularly with something like a MyZone belt, to check in with how your client's performing, but also is your workout that you're creating for your client suitable to what you're actually trying to achieve.
And what about kit? And I'm thinking gym equipment, I'm thinking dumbbells, barbells, a particular machine, a step. Any particular bit of kit that you think you just couldn't do without?
At the moment, resistance bands have been my savior. And I use that from a perspective that, particularly in the first round of lockdown, nobody could buy dumbbells. Nobody could buy plates. There was only so many times you could say to people, fill your backpack with baked beans, or hold a heavy book or whatever. Or at one point they were bicep curling chairs and whatever else I could find in their house. And, you know, but now with resistance bands, they were never in shortage. So actually it was really easy, and they were cheap for me to go to the members that I was seeing and saying, look, go on Amazon, they're £7, buy them, you'll have them in 2 days. And then, you know, we can use them. And you can use them for anything. You know, they're probably one of the cheapest and most robust pieces of equipment that exist, because they're using your body weight ultimately. So I think that's probably now this time round, I'm noticing people have weights and they have stuff because they were ready. But they've certainly been something that I think have been really important to training, because just also they don't take up a lot of room.
Good shout. I mean, they're super versatile. So good point. Here's one for you. It might take you a bit of time to think about. I'm not sure. What's the single bit of best advice that you've ever been given?
That is a good one. I think probably within a working capacity, it's been to probably not walk before I can run, or not run before I can walk, rather. As you know, well, I have a bit of a habit of getting an idea and running with it. And, you know, before anybody's even had time to think about sort of like, before even anyone's had time to process what the suggestion was, you know, I've already written a 10-page report about it and I'm ready to give it to you. And that, you know, that's sort of how my brain functions. I mean, I've had countless people in my work environment say to me in the past, like, your brain works like no one I've ever met. Like it just moves at like 2 million miles an hour. And you know, you need to let the rest of us catch up, because for some reason, and then look, there's other times where my brain does not function at all in any way logical, but it tends to, once I get an idea, I'm like, phew, off. So I think the best piece of advice that people give me now is like, just take a breath, think about it for a minute, and, you know, slow down, breathe. And I think that's key in anything we do. I think as fitness professionals, we are, you know, we're not in this role. We're not in this industry to make a, we'd love to make a fortune, but, you know, it's not ever, you know, the potentially the highest paid profession you can get into without a hell of a lot of work. And so we are usually in this industry because we're really passionate about it. And I think that's really important and really significant, and ensuring that you use that opportunity to take a breath, because when you are super passionate about something, that's where you go head
That
first.
is 100% a theme on these calls. Let's dig into how you moved your business online. I know very much you were a face-to-face trainer. And let's start with, I suppose, what were your initial thoughts about online? If I asked you the question 2 years ago, what are your thoughts on online PT? So, and what are they now?
I think that sort of, you know, major evolution of our industry in the last sort of 10 years, it really feeds into that. You know, it's certainly accelerated over the last couple of years, but certainly if you'd even spoken to me, you know, when we were working together a year ago and said, you know, what do you think about online PT? I'd be like, well, who the hell would want online PT? You know, like if they're going to, if they wanted PT, they'll go to the gym, because that's the way they've always done it.
Yeah.
And I think what this opportunity has really taught me is that people are really adaptable. And actually, for some people, they've found a new way of training that actually suits them better than what they were doing before. Because no more do they have to get out of the house, drive to the gym, spend 30 minutes in the car, 20 minutes in the car, get there, do a 45-minute class, have a shower, get in the car, drive home again. And before you know it, you know, the event of a 30-minute class or 45-minute class is taking them 4 hours. You know, the amount of people that say to me now, I love it. I get up, I roll out my bed, I put on my gym kit, I walk to my computer, I turn it on and I go, and then I turn it off again and off I walk. And, you know, from an instructor perspective, well, great. I see 4 different gyms worth of members in one opportunity. You know, and I only have to give you 45 minutes instead of 4 hours of doing the same class. So for me, you know, now I think that it's absolutely something that's here to stay.
Because that would be another question, that, you know, when we finally get the green light and we can get back into gym, do you think there's going to be the same appetite? Do you think it might diminish a touch and continue as a strong offering? What do you think?
I think you only have to look at what some of the boutique sites are doing, some of the more major gym chains are doing around their online offering, to know that they don't see it as being something that is going to go away. Yes, I think that it will reduce somewhat, because a natural human interaction is always going to be preferred over a digital one, probably, for most people. But, you know, you only have to look at, you know, Barry's are in the process, to my knowledge, of fully designing their own at-home, you know, offering that they want to be able to offer out, you know, internationally. You know, companies like David Lloyd have been off building an online digital platform. So I think it was, I mean, look, from I could only use, you know, the lockdown that we've just come out of and then gone back into as an example, but certainly, you know, the gyms all reopened. I think I had about 30 people still doing classes with me, and it dropped overnight to about 12, because they all went back to the gym. A few of them didn't want to go back. A couple of them then resurfaced, having still coming to classes at the gym, but actually said, you know what, it's on a Wednesday, I've got to take my kids to school, and then I've got to do this. And actually the process now of taking my kids to school takes double the time than it used to. So now I can't just drop them at the gate. I've got to drop this one at this time and that one at that time and whatever. So it doesn't work anymore. there are others that have joined since, incidentally, that were seeing just a one-to-one PT in pre-lockdown, and have opted that actually this way of training is better for them, and they don't want one-to-one, and they don't want to, they're quite happy online now. um so yeah, I mean, I think there will be a hybrid shift, if you will. um but I think it will bring a new group of people to exercise, potentially, that we haven't touched yet. Um, because something that we used to try and hammer home often in meetings, in our you know in our, and when we were working, was, we've got the people we've got. What
Right.
about the people we don't? We need to think about them too, and
Yeah.
how do we get them and bring them in? And actually, it's those people, I think, that are hugely benefiting from this. The
Mm.
people that don't feel comfortable going into a studio environment in a gym because they feel self-conscious, or anything like that. I mean, I had people coming to online body pump with me that were like, I would never in my wildest dreams step foot into a body pump class in the gym ever. No
Well,
way.
the
Um,
benefits of doing that online is that you could, one, you're not really necessarily being seen by a whole bunch of people. So if you're a bit nervous, that could be nullified to some degree. And I suppose the other side of things is they can always switch you off.
and that's the other thing. There was a lady today that came to my class this morning, actually, and she said halfway through, she sent me a private message on the thing halfway through, just saying, I don't think I'm like, I don't think this class is for me. So she just left. And that was it. And actually, in a studio environment, that would be really hard to do, because you wouldn't feel confident to just step out
Yeah.
in the middle of it. You might, but you would feel more self-conscious of that. And I think in time it's encouraged people. Look, that woman that I was referring to before, that would never step foot in a body pump studio, dead when the gym reopened,
Yeah.
because she now knew what to expect.
Yeah. She built the
So even
confidence.
as
She knows the script now. She knows the choreography,
yeah,
because she feels better.
exactly.
Yeah.
And what a great opportunity from a PT perspective to feed somebody into the world of exercise who's not confident.
Yeah.
Because actually, a huge thing for, particularly if you're new to exercise and you join a gym, is that it's the most daunting thing in the world with all this equipment. You've got no idea what it does in
Yeah.
front of you. And actually, you might not even be able to do a squat yet. So the thought of standing on a gym floor with all these people around going, I can't even do that with a weight yet, could
Mhm.
mean that moving you online actually would make you much more confident, because you're
Yeah.
in your own environment.
Good point.
Um,
Good point.
so yeah,
Well,
I
okay.
know.
So what about it might be a little bit daunting for a new trainer. They might just be qualified, or they've got a small client base, and the the marketing that you see, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, seems to suggest that I might need to build my own website. That might cost me thousands of pounds, and I haven't got thousands of pounds. Do I need a funky app that's going to do all the tracking for me, etc., etc.? And again, that seems like a massive cost. Oh, I might not be particularly tech savvy. How complicated and how easy was it for you to create your own um, your own platform? It looks really cool. I think you've used WordPress, which is it's particularly user friendly, I believe. So just talk us through how. I mean, I don't know whether you want to tell us. Are you particularly tech savvy? Or is that something that you find easy, or?
I mean, I am probably amongst one of the more tech savvy people, particularly from the point of view that I've always just really enjoyed it. So I can fiddle around with WordPress for hours, having the time of my life, and not realize that it's happened. From a perspective of somebody that's brand new, WordPress is definitely really simple. I used another one, I think, that was called 123 Site originally.
Yeah.
But certainly, it also doesn't have to look fancy. The other side to that is, okay, I went off and did it this way because actually I would much rather put the work in at the beginning and then not have to worry about it again and know that it's all set up.
Yeah.
For others, I know lots of instructors that are still operating on pay me through PayPal.
Yeah.
And that's all I need to do, so it depends, I think, largely on whether you're trying to maintain your client base, or whether you're trying to grow it. So if you're trying to grow it, then yeah, obviously, and again, the website doesn't have to be complicated. I don't think mine is particularly complex that I've designed. You know, it's pretty much, this is how you join. Here's the information, go, basically.
Yeah.
And then it routes them to a booking system. The booking system I'm using now, it comes with an app already. It costs, I think, £20 a month. It's called Momo Yoga. So it costs me, I think it's £20 a month now to do. I tried Bookwin before, was another one I'd used. I've used some of the free ones as well, but they don't. What I wanted this time round was for them to be able, my goal this time was, I want them to be able to go from, once they've signed up to this app or whatever it is they're using, they shouldn't have to do more than 5 clicks to book the class they want to do. Because some of them are really, really complicated. Yeah. And by the time they've worked out how to book them, I'm like, I've no idea how you work that out, because I couldn't either. And I had to make, being more tech savvy, I was lucky that I had the ability to go off and make some videos that say, this is how to do it step by step. Watch me do it, now do it, kind of thing. With this one, Momo Yoga especially, I'm finding is much more straightforward. I mean, you know, they literally go on, the app opens up on my page, because it's not like Mindbody where you have to choose your facility or whatever. It opens up on mine because that's who their account's registered to. They click, this is the class, book, and that's it. And then if they want, if I'm operating on weekly passes and stuff, so that can all be set up through there as well. And if they haven't got a pass, it will tell them they need to buy a pass. And then they buy it, and I've affiliated now with Stripe so that it pays, they pay for it through Stripe, and that's it. So I think there is a bit of background work that you have to do to set it up, but once it's there, it's really easy to manage and maintain. And that was what was important for me. I mean, I went on down the route of creating an on-demand platform, so that also meant that I had to pay a subscription to Vimeo now. But that cost me, I think, £75 for the year.
And how did you find Vimeo? I mean, obviously there's loads of different delivery systems available. What were your thoughts around Vimeo?
I went with Vimeo from the perspective that I wanted to be able to create effectively. Here are all the cardio classes I've uploaded in one folder, as you will, rather than a playlist. This is all going to be passworded. So unless you've given me, unless you paid me basically for access to that, you don't have the password, so you can't use it. And Vimeo seemed to be a platform that was not that expensive and really simple to put together. So that was the reason I went with it in the first place. And also because they allow you to upload a fair amount of storage each week, which was important for me as well. Because obviously the video files are not necessarily small. To my knowledge, from Zoom, you can also upload, I think, straight to Vimeo, but I haven't tried that yet because I edit a start and a finish to the videos and to the beginning. But yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy with Vimeo. It does everything I need it to do, and it's pretty straightforward to set up.
And what editing software? I know you just mentioned you put I'm guessing an intro slide and an exit slide to keep things simple. You know, for what editing software do you use? Is it a free software? Is it something you've had to pay a premium for?
iMovie, so it's free. It's on my Mac.
Cool.
So I literally, as you say, I attach a 10-second start video that literally says the whole bit about if you injure yourself whilst you're doing this video, sort of, you know, the sort of, I suppose, PARQ side of things, that, you know, you're at your own risk, basically. And the bit at the end that says sort of thanks, and that's it, really. And products like iMovie are really straightforward to learn, which is why I opted for that. I mean, I've been editing videos probably since I was about 11. So I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, but certainly that, you know, that should also be testament to the fact that you don't need to spend 200 quid on a bit of software for that purpose.
No, agree. And I think that's what I'm hoping people will find useful from these podcasts, is that we're all using various different bits of tech, but they don't have to cost the earth. They don't have to be that complicated to use. And you end up, you know, there's that many different options out there. There's usually one that suits your needs and current needs, because a lot of you might want to, you know, as you develop your business and you grow your business, you might want to choose a more highly functioning system. with different options that aren't particularly relevant to you straight away, but when you first get started, then further on down the line, that there may be when you get more traffic. So cool. Look, Darren, that's really useful. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to ask you one final question, mate, if I can, and then I would love to get you back on in a week or so, if that's to maybe talk a little bit more detail about some of the things that I've missed out on asking today. But what is the most positive thing that's come out of 2020 for you? I know it's been a bit of a weird year for everyone. So
I think probably the most positive thing for me is knowing that within the fitness industry, there's always options. I think that's probably the best thing for me. So, throughout this year, I've gone from teaching 4 classes and being in a full-time role where you're traveling all the time to being on furlough and having nothing to do all day. So working on that, to be made redundant, to then having to go full-time into instruction again, to then finding another job. So I think it's about understanding that there's options. And I think what this final phase has taught me, which is probably the most positive, is that because the fitness industry is evolving, there are loads of opportunities outside of just, can I get a job as a PT in a gym? That would be the way I'd put it. There are thousands of opportunities out there that you wouldn't even think were there, but actually as a PT or a grip exercise instructor, you have tons of transferable skills, and it's about really understanding how do you utilize them to move to your next position. So I think for me, the most positive thing that's come out of that is just that reiteration. I mean, I think, you and I had conversations that I felt like I was losing my oomph for this industry. And that, I think I remember sitting in an office with you and saying, I feel like it's eaten me and swallowed me up, and that's it now. And I'm done. But actually, I think what this year has done is given me an opportunity to actually go, okay, you were banging on for years about how you'd love to go back to teaching full time again. Oh, look, now you're in a position where you have to teach full time again. How do you feel about that? Okay, no, actually, I don't want to teach full time again. I'm glad, I feel like I've got a bit of my oomph back in a way, because I've had that opportunity to explore all the things that I thought I wouldn't be able to do. And trying it online has also been a really cool opportunity, just to see kind of what that area of the industry is about. And actually from creating an online business, the amount of new transferable skills you create from doing that actually you can't get being a PT in a gym or anything else, because actually you're having to learn how to not just create your own business, but also create your own content, and not just create your own content, how to roll out that content, and how to advertise it and market it and blah, blah, whatever. I can't, gone are the days where you can stand in a gym and look muscular and hope that somebody comes up and asks you if you're a PT, because they can't see you.
I was pretty good at that.
Yeah, see, I was not. But yeah, I mean that's to me is kind of where there's been some real positives, and I think that we all have to really focus on that, because as you and I were talking about before we sort of went on to here, that there is a huge amount of negativity going on at the moment around the fact that gyms are closed, and when they shut this time, I wasn't the person going, we must sign a petition. I was like, all right, fair enough, we're going back online, like ride the wave, as our old boss used to say.
Darren, look, thank you very much for popping on today. I really appreciate it, and I definitely want you to come back in a week or two. So let's have a quick catch up in a second, and we'll see what we can arrange if you're up for it. But yeah, thank you once again, and thank you very much. Cheers, Darren.